Channel. My name's Chris. And when trying to think of some ways to represent great cinema and great films that I've seen and kind of recommend them to you, I sort of had a look at my shelves, looked at what I've been watching recently, and kind of thought, cinema's so universal. It comes and showcases many issues and parts of life and things from all around the world. And I thought I would try and start like a new idea series. Don't know how regular it'll be, but give me another way to represent some great films to recommend for you. And I thought I would use geography as that. And so I'm going to highlight some regions or filmmakers that maybe people do know a bit about, seen some of their films get in, but kind of get to the nuts and bolts of what makes that region's cinema so great and some starting points, etc. So today, as you probably see from the thumbnail, we'll look at Romania. And I'm going to look at two filmmakers and two films here to do it. Now, I've already talked about things like Collective, which has been released by Dogwoof, which is a documentary that's already fabulous, that looks at the resulting fallout of a lot of people who died at a nightclub fire in Romania, and actually the feelings of the health service. It's an utterly fabulous documentary. It's harrowing, it's telling, but it's one of the most behind the scenes look at actually what happened. It's not a dramatised. It actually lets the new health minister follow him around and the decisions that he came to. It's utterly fascinating and really one of the finest documentaries I can think of. But these two films that I'm going to talk about, first I'm going to talk about RMN by Cristian Mungiu, and I'm going to talk about Upside Down, Everybody in Our Family by Rade Jude. Both different, but both dealing with, I think, ideas in cinema that look at the people and the places and the issues that make up the place that they're from. So let's talk about RMN. Cristian Mungiu is a director who is in the Criterion Collection with 4 weeks, 3 months, 2 days, etc. And people have seen a lot of his films, but this is one of his more recent ones, and this is RMN. Now, you'll forgive me, because in this past week and weekend, the issues that are in this film haven't become more and more prevalent to what it's about, because RMN deals with the migrant or the refugee issue within Romania, and the fact of outside workers coming into, in this case, a very small habitation and trying to contribute to their society, but all anybody sees as outsiders are people coming from the outside and stealing their jobs. The same kind of things that everybody's talking about. And I think one of the real powers that we have in cinema, and one of the reasons that cinema is such an important tool and an important facet of life, and why the arts are so important, is because it's only through understanding and looking at the issues through other people, trying to be empathic, that we can actually get to the crux and understanding of that issue. And RMN follows a man who returns home in sort of a little contrast to the migrants themselves, but he's been away from his hometown place for a while, where he has a child there, and he returns and tries to reconnect with not only the people that he left behind, but also the themes and the world that he has around him, and contrast that to the ongoing complaints, let's say, about migrant labour and all of that kind of stuff. Now, this is in some ways very disturbing in some aspects, but also does puts a strong case forward for all arguments and for all sides. In fact, there's even like a scene at the end that's done in one cut, big crowd scene that goes back and forward to discusses all this, and almost like a bloody town hall scene style, where people present their issues and kind of talk them out. But it just represents an awful lot of that very starkly and strangely. And you also have the contrast of the young people and what they're having dreams and things that they prophesize and see, and a lot of that's allegorical. And you get this perspective of the young person who really doesn't have the entrenched views that people who are older and have fears and are trying to worry about their family and all of that kind of stuff. It's such a strong piece of filmmaking, and as it says here, a must see. I think especially in modern times, you get a really complex story with complex themes acted and portrayed evocatively on screen. This is a Picturehouse release. There's not a great deal else on it, but these Picturehouse releases often fall to reasonable prices in terms of just picking it up and seeing a pretty good print of the film. Absolutely terrific. Wouldn't surprise me if one day it appeared on the Criterion Collection at some stage, but I urge you to check it out. Another one is Jude, Everybody in Our Family, from Second Run. This is a Second Run release, and this takes a very different slant on this. The title Everybody in Our Family comes from a father talking to his daughter when they're talking about death and what happens after death and about heaven and hell, and he basically says everybody in our family will be going to heaven. And that is the backdrop under which this tale is told, because we have a father who is estranged from his wife, and we don't know any of the background of stories, but we find out that he only has 15 days a year to see his daughter Sophia, who is just an absolute delight on screen. You get a sense of how much joy she would bring to anybody's life with even those 15 days, and he's desperate, but he's estranged from the mother, and it's quite clear that the mother and father are not in good terms, and he goes to pick her up to take her for a holiday on one of these agreed days to the seaside. But when he gets there to the house to pick her up, things don't go smoothly. Now, this is an examination of not just family, complex family divorce, but the effect on everybody around them. And it is darkly comic in places, but it is stone cold serious in other parts, as it portrays the desperation that all parties have, kids, adults, parents, new partners, etc. And this, and the whole thing is told in a very almost documentary style shooting, in that it's handheld cam. We kind of get the feeling of a robustness and a panic that goes through as everybody tries to fight their corner, sometimes with the child's best intentions at heart, sometimes with their selfish intentions. And it's such a powerful piece of filmmaking, especially towards the end, as we can't help but look at all different parties of this and view them and judge them and understand them actually where they come from. Nobody comes out, wholly looking well. Nobody comes out looking this, totally to blame. It's about desperation and about the reality of when communication breaks down. And we see a journey from even the father, the mother, the daughter, the new partner, the granny, everybody kind of falling apart in this drama sense. And it is a powerful piece of filmmaking. It has a couple of short films, including one which is like the short film version of this, Alexandra, which he kind of thought, when he was making it, God, this is the kind of story I want to tell. Made it, was happy with it, but thought there was more of a story to tell here, and so he made the full length version of it here. The Second Run disc also has a conversation with the director himself, Rade Jude, where he talks about his kind of ideas and the genesis of what he wanted to do and say within this. And even within that, the booklet that Second Run producing here has an introduction by him at the start. I actually toyed with the idea of just reading that out, because I think it gives probably a better introduction to the film and what the film's about than I would do. But I encourage you to read it, because there's also a really good essay, introduction, classification of Jude's cinema as well by Carmen Gray. It's the Second Run booklets, I think, are always very underrated and a terrific read, and certainly give you a feeling for Jude as a filmmaker, both in terms of being an assistant director to some, works with other prominent Romanian directors like Cristian, etc. And then on to the kind of themes and ideas that his work has went to investigate, especially in a country like Romania, which for most of the Western world has only got a couple of things that it's been notorious for in the last 30 years. The breakdown of the Ceausescu regime, the orphans, etc., that pervaded throughout most of Western Europe at that stage. So it's always interesting to get a perspective that's outside that. Have you seen any other Romanian films? Have you got any kind of Romanian cinema that you've seen and you thought, God, that was really strong? I think you should check that out as well. And especially from other directors that are come there, or is it still an area that you would like to delve into? And if you have any suggestions about what kind of country we should look at next, I think that would be greatly appreciated as well. Let me know what you think of the video. Let me know what you think of the idea for the series, and I'll speak to you again soon. Take care. All the best.